Sup, Nerdmigos? I'm the Jive talking nerd John Norgrove, and this is Nerd Jive. The office is a terrible mess, and I've not accomplished anything, so that's why I'm standing up, so all the mess is hidden below the camera line. Took a little bit of a break there because I'm tired, and I haven't even edited the vlog for Mammoth, so expect that coming sometime soon. I went to Mammoth for the Bluesapalooza for the beer fest, and shot a bunch of footage and got a bunch of pictures. I'm going to cut together a vlog. Hopefully I can get it cut together tomorrow and have it uploaded for Wednesday's show, assuming there's not like a ton of news for Wednesday. But it's not unlikely that there won't be, so we'll see what happens. But either way, let's get on with it. So first up is SpaceX news. I love SpaceX news. Y'all love SpaceX news. It's great. So CRS-12 launched this morning at about 9:30. Do I have the time down? Yeah, 9:30 my time, which is California. So this is the last launch of the new Dragon capsules, which means that all of the subsequent launches they're going to be making for the time being are going to be on used Dragon capsules, which means Dragon capsules that have already been launched at the International Space Station, returned in the ocean, cleaned up a little bit, and relaunched, which is awesome. That's another step in them moving towards infinite reusability with their rockets. They launched from Launch Complex 39A in Cape Canaveral, Florida, with just a clean launch, no issues at all. They touched down. The first stage touched down on LZ-1. Which is the landing pad. I think they said it was a couple of miles away from Launch Complex 39A. So I'll have pictures and stuff for that. But yeah, it's absolutely awesome. So these Dragon capsules carry approximately 64,000 pounds of supplies, including oxygen, food, water, and experiments, both up and back down. On their return, they bring experiments back that need to be brought back, which is super interesting. So next up is Delorean news, which is awesome. So we might actually get a flying Delorean within our lifetimes. So Paul Delorean, who is the nephew to John DeLorean, the one who invented the DeLorean, has just joined the sky race to build a flying vehicle. So people in this race with him, people he's competing with, are currently Larry Page, Airbus, and Uber. They're all trying to build flying cars. So the DR7, will be a two-seater VTOL autonomous battery-powered personal transport vehicle. It looks awesome. So it looks absolutely fantastic. It has a target range of 120 miles, which I guess is like an incredibly high target range for a battery-powered vehicle like this, but the idea is that it's going to fly at a higher altitude than what they were originally suggesting for flying cars, allowing it to be more efficient, I would assume. They currently have a dummy model built, one that's a bit smaller, and they hope to have a working prototype by the end of next year, so by the end of 2018. Which is pretty awesome. Flying cars are presenting this really interesting issue currently, where within how are we going to do it? So in the Wired article, I have linked below. They mention it a little bit. Right now, if you get in an accident, it's two cars in an accident, pull over to the side of the road, whatever. What happens if you're in an accident in the air? If your engine just shuts off in your car, you coast to the side of the road and you're fine. But what happens when your engine shuts off and... Alright, there we go. What happens if your engine shuts off and you're flying at 1,200 feet? You know? And I've seen... I know that they make parachutes for small airplanes that are built into the frame and so you can parachute back down. But what if you're flying over San Francisco at 1,200 feet or at 2,000 feet and your engine shuts down and your parachute deploys? What then? You know? So there's a lot of significantly more important questions to ask before we just all start buying flying cars and doing awesome stuff. But it's still awesome, and we still want it. We still want flying cars. We still want all that stuff. So, you know, whatever. Yeah, either way, I hope that this works with Paul Delorean. His vehicle idea is pretty interesting. If you're going to build it, make it electric. That just seems more logical nowadays. That's kind of the direction we're going anyway. And the more people in this competition, the better. We want competition. That's really what's going to benefit us as the end user. So, you know, let's hope that more people get into it. You know what I would really love to see happen is I would love to see Tesla get into the game, because Tesla likes pushing bounds and doing things at like financially risky ways. So like let's get more companies into that. Get Ford into it. Get Chevy into it. Get fucking whoever, Toyota. I don't care. But we need more competition, because that's what's going to get us to a place where when I have to go to work, I get into a box and it picks me up and flies me to my job and drops me off. I don't have to do anything, which is what I want, because I don't want to fucking drive. I hate driving. Flying cars. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, the last newsy thing I wanted to talk about, was the United States Marine Corps and their 3D printing program. So this is super awesome. I have an Engadget article linked below that is stupid long, but it's super interesting, and I absolutely loved it, and I kind of parsed it down to like the minimalist amount of stuff. So in 2016, the USMC asked people for ideas for additive manufacturing, which is 3D printing, is additive manufacturing. So what they asked was active duty and off-duty Marines, as well as other military personnel and families associated with military personnel. Like, hey, let's say we were to put 3D printers in the field. What can we do with it? Design some shit that we can do. See what happens. Just to see if it's feasible, market value, like if they're going to save money in doing such a thing, right? So there were hundreds of submissions, and only a small amount made it to the sort of prototyping development stage. The one that caught my particular attention, if you're interested in more information, again, link below, is a drone. So one of these was a fixed-wing surveillance drone, which they currently already have. Fixed-wing surveillance drones, but they cost thousands and thousands of dollars to produce and get into the field. And this Marine figured out a way of 3D printing about 90% of the parts for one for like $600. So finished drone, mostly 3D printed part, $600. In addition to it being both cheaper and you know, more beneficial in the sense that, you know, we're going to be able to put more of them in the hands of soldiers. And, of course, information is key in this kind of a thing. All of the parts can be printed on field printers, which means that if you're flying one and it gets popped and, like, a wing breaks or it crashes into something or something like that, right, you can just take it back to base, 3D print up a new set of wings, and your money, as opposed to having to wait for it to make it through the, you know, for you to submit an order and make it through the supply chain and all this kind of stuff. And this went through a shitload of testing. It took them about 6 months to design and develop it for ease of use and assembly. And the whole thing is, like, they designed it to be incredibly easy for soldiers to use in the field, incredibly intuitive. It compresses to fit into, like, a space on a standard pack. So you're not having to have special stuff. You don't have to go to special classes. And that's sort of like, his idea is to just sort of add information to your general soldier, which is, in my opinion, a really good idea. So, sorry, I had to set myself one down. So it's, you know, I think it's a great idea, and I think additive manufacturing is the future of so many technologies. The Marines were also looking at, like F-18 Hornet replacement parts being 3D printed out of aluminum or something. I didn't write that down, but I remember something like that from the article, which is awesome. So yeah, it's, you know, I've touted it before, additive manufacturing, 3D printing. I have a 3D printer. It's like a cheapo Chinese one, but it's surprising how useful it is, and at the same time, if we can save money on military spending, or more importantly, spend the same amount of money, but less money on stupid shit and more money on things beneficial to our soldiers overseas and in the field, then that's better. So, like, let's do that, you know? The last thing I wanted to talk about, and this isn't like newsy news stuff, is Game of Thrones and Rick and Morty. So last night was Sunday. We had the newest episode of Game of Thrones. This is all no spoilers, spoiler free, zero spoilers. So newest episode of Game of Thrones, absolutely fantastic. The CGI for those fucking dragons is so goddamn next level. Like, I was listening to something today, and they were talking about how, like, Game of Thrones is essentially a big budget movie, just fucking longer, you know? And I tend to agree. In the beginning, the dragons were a little hit and miss, and now they just look super, super good. There have been some great Game of Thrones memes. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic episode. I highly recommend you watch it. Yeah, man, there was a lot of, like, little hints at some pretty big shit that nobody talked about. They're like, oh, blah, 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 you know, here's a little hint, and then nobody in the show talks about it, and you know, we have the whole family over and friends over, and we're watching, we're just like, ah! So it was absolutely awesome. And then I made the both fantastic and terrible mistake of staying up until bloody 11:30 at night to watch Rick and Morty, which I love Rick and Morty so much, and it's such a good show. Cartoon Network sucks ass. All of the shows leading up to it were just like, drudge, whatever. But yeah, Rick and Morty was absolutely hilarious. I think that Pickle Rick, so the last episode, not this most recent episode, is the best episode this season, because Pickle Rick is both incredibly action-packed and, like, deep. But this episode was really, really good. It was a lot more Morty-centric, which was awesome. And the teaser or whatever for the next episode, which is like Rick and the dad going on an adventure, I'm super excited about, because those were that dad is so fucking funny. Oh my god. In that, what is that, the second episode of the season, I think, where he's like packing his stuff up, or maybe it's the first episode, he's like, I'm just gonna pack my stuff up, guys, and he's like about ready to leave and the wind blows and it's like, loser. Oh man, I laugh my ass off every time I watch that scene. So either way, yeah, Rick and Morty, Game of Thrones, watch that shit if you're not watching it. Absolutely fantastic shows. I decided to add that at the end just because I didn't want to have to write another story. I was tired and busy. But either way, I've been John Norgrove. This has been Nerd Jive. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that necessary stuff, and you'll be getting new episodes frequently again. I decided to take a week off because I'm lazy, and I can. So, you know, fuck you guys. So either way, stay nerdy, guys.